Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
It's our first Beantown Friday edition of the Ice Guys, presented by Boston Hemp Inc., our new Friday sponsor here of the Ice Guys show. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith. We're happy to be a partner powered by Boston Hemp Inc. for these Friday editions of the Ice Guys show. And we're calling it Beantown Fridays because Boston Hemp Inc. is our sponsor and because of who our Friday guest is on the Ice Guys show every week. It's our Boston man, Jimmy Murphy, joining us. Jimmy, how are you doing?
I'm good. You guys?
Very good. Awesome stuff. Let's revel in our glory just a little bit to begin the show of a nice Anaheim Ducks call last night for all three of us. Yep. Even now, Jimmy wasn't on the show, but Jimmy was on that spot too, that it was a tricky spot for Boston, a very long road trip back home. An Anaheim team they had already beaten in Anaheim on Sunday night. Figured that, are they going to have that utmost, pedal to the metal attitude, weaker team that they just beat? And look, it wasn't looking good for Anaheim there in the third period, although I had them first period. It was a slow start for Boston. They did get better as the game goes on. And I think with the 3-1 lead, they kind of fell asleep there in the last few minutes of the third period. Anaheim with a stunning comeback. Leo Carlsson, by the way, gets another goal for the Anaheim Ducks. Mason McTavish ends up getting the game winner in overtime. And Anaheim with a stunning comeback against the Boston Bruins and cashing a big plus price for really all three of us, Jimmy. Stunning end to that game.
Yeah, I had him in the first period as well, and then the whole game. And look, I mean, I don't know, you're right. I mean, the Bruins did. They fell asleep at the wheel there. They laid back and they paid for it. But it's just, it's not like they didn't know what they were up against in Anaheim, or at least they claimed they knew. I mean, all week since that game, they've been talking about how surprised they were at how improved the Ducks were when they played them in that first game last Sunday night. And, said how much more physical they are, how much more structure they have. These were words coming from Brad Marchand, the captain, and the head coach, Jim Montgomery. But they were the only ones really saying it. And you kind of sensed like maybe the message wasn't getting through. I mean, they did all they could as leaders in that, in that dressing room to get that message across. Like, don't sleep on these guys. They're hungry. And of course, we saw what they did in Columbus, a great win there. And I don't know what happened. They just sort of collapsed. And, I wrote it today. I just kind of look back. Now, I know there's a lot of new faces on this Bruins team, but at least half the team is the team that was on the ice when they walked off the ice after losing Game 7 to Florida last spring. And, we all saw in that series where there were two games, Game 5 and Game 7, where they had late leads and they collapsed. And look, I'm not comparing a game in October to a playoff game, but it's something that maybe, the bulk, the core of that team needs to work on, that they just sort of fall asleep at the wrong time. So they've got plenty of time to correct it. But yeah, that game, just like you guys, I saw it lining up as an upset for the Ducks.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of those games where no question about that. We felt it was a good spot for Anaheim, no question.
Plus Greg Cronin too.
Yeah, I mean, that team's been a tough out, haven't they? Every single game. They could have beat Dallas, I thought, at home a week ago. They were even. You couldn't tell who the better team was.
Like Crow is from Arlington, Mass. too. So, this is one of those games where I think he put a little money up on the board, wanted to really take that game in his hometown. It's first time ever as a head coach after being in the league for 20 years as an assistant. Used to coach Northeastern. So that game meant a lot to him. And he even admitted it after, that it was surreal being behind the bench for a game there. So, the recipe was there for a Ducks win. I'm glad you guys are on it as well.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a really good spot for the Anaheim Ducks. They took advantage of it. What else did we see last night? Obviously, a very busy Thursday night in the NHL. We saw a lot of interesting results take place. How about the struggles of the two Alberta teams? I mean, that's what stands out. I'm going to go right to both of these teams. The Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers are a shit show right now. They're a disaster. And to think that both of those teams, off multiple losses in a row, come out the way they did. Calgary shut out at home by Joel Hofer. And this is no disrespect on Joel Hofer. He played a great game. But to get shut out at home by St. Louis is a horrible result for Calgary.
Yeah.
Again, they're having trouble finding the back of the net. I love the blunt honesty from Nikita Zadorov in the post game last night. I want to apologize to our fans. We're playing like shit right now. It's tough to watch. It's pretty accurate.
Good.
And I love it. He's the one guy that cares. I mean, definitely. That guy plays hard every night. There's a lot of passengers right now for Ryan Huska's team. That's an issue. I thought against Minnesota the other night, Edmonton would have a little bounce following the injury to McDavid. First game without McDavid, everyone steps up. That didn't happen. They get drilled by Minnesota 7-4. And I said after that, you know what? Now we're going to stay away from Edmonton for a while. And sure enough, last night they get shut out by Jonathan Quick at 37 years of age, putting up the goose egg over the Edmonton Oilers in that game. And that tells you all you need to know with Edmonton is that, first of all, this season they've had some issues in their own end. The goaltending from Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell has been inadequate. It's been below average. But we usually could always count on Edmonton to score goals. And even their offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders. And now they're without McDavid and they get shut out last night. And even their vaunted power play has looked out of sync and disjointed early in the season. So all kinds of issues right now in Edmonton. And good luck, Sportsnet and TNT. You're going to try to polish off a turd here on Sunday night, trying to hype up this Heritage Classic outdoor game between the Flames and the Oilers Sunday night at Commonwealth Stadium. Two teams that can't get out of their own way right now. Someone's got to win that game Sunday night. I guess you got to hype it. I was saying to Alex, I'll still take that game over Bears-Chargers Sunday night football on Sunday night. I'll still watch the outdoor game in a heartbeat over that, stink fest. But nevertheless, Calgary-Edmonton, I mean, geez, beginning of the season, we were thinking of this matchup. Okay, Calgary's going to be a lot better. Edmonton's going to be awesome, surefire contenders. And these teams are just awful right now. And so selling that game on Sunday night is going to be a little harder. Alex, what do you make of these Alberta teams? Just awful right now.
Yeah, they are. And, we were saying that last night, like, wow, yeah, how tough is it going to be to sell this game? But really, when you think about it, it won't be, because both these teams are bad. And both these teams desperately need a win. And I was saying on another show earlier this morning, I actually hate that this game is going to be played outside. I wish this was going to be played either in the Saddle Dome or at Rogers Arena, because this game means so much. And I think we would be seeing classic, Battle of Alberta hockey, tons of fights, tons of penalties, power play chances, goals galore. And now, if the guys get all swept up in, the theatrics of being outdoors, and it's the 20th anniversary of the Heritage Classic and all that, they lose focus. And now you got two teams who play like shit, continuing to play like shit. So, both teams should be focused and ready, and hopefully they can tune out the noise and all that, and then they can go on and focus and play. And we'll see who gets the 2 points. My gut feeling would say the regulation draw, just because of how these two teams are playing right now. But it's definitely going to be interesting. I think because of the fact that they're both struggling, that's the storyline to build upon now.
I'm all over that under, boys. I don't know about you, in that cold weather with two struggling teams that really are lost right now. I think this has a under written all over it.
Yeah, and it is wintertime there right now, like officially.
Yep,
so.
It's going to be 36 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Or, whatever you guys got. You got Celsius up there, Ian, but yeah, it's going to be cold. Unlike here, guys, where it's 81 degrees here in Boston right now.
Yeah, it's very mild here
nice.
Too. It's not quite that warm here, but we're in the 70s right now here with our temperature. Yeah,
we'll see flurries this weekend in St. Paul. So
it's just crazy. And this is the second year in a row, you guys, that Alberta and Western Canada has had this winter deep freeze in October. Like, it's just unreal how quickly they're getting bombarded with snow already, and these minus 10 Celsius, below 30 Fahrenheit temperatures already out there, which is good for the winter, for the Heritage Classic on Sunday. It's going to be good conditions for the ice. It's going to be perfect. In fact, sun, but cold and light wind. So for the outdoor game, it's going to be pristine conditions for the ice. The ice actually should be in pretty good shape Sunday night in Edmonton for this game. And I know how bad it is out there, because we have our buddy Goose, Tim York, on our betcast the other night. And here he is all bundled up like it's the January in Calgary. So they're getting it too out there, all the cold weather, no doubt. So that's going to be good news, though, for the conditions, playing conditions, at least for that game. But yeah, ugly stuff for the Oilers and the Flames. How about ugly stuff for the San Jose Sharks? You talk about the worst team in the NHL by a country mile. That's the San Jose Sharks right now. 6-0 beat down at the hands of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Shutout for Jonas Johansson. When you're being shut out by Jonas Johansson, you know there's problems right now. Although, to be honest with you, he's been terrific now. It's actually back-to-back shutouts for him against Carolina and San Jose. So twilight zone here, but you got to give the guy his due. He's played well here these last couple of games for Tampa Bay. 6-0 win over San Jose. Pittsburgh, how about that impressive game? A team that's been struggling. Colorado just had one of those clunkers, and no doubt that was definitely Colorado's D- game last night. But credit to Pittsburgh, 4-0 shutout over the Avalanche. Carolina comes back to beat Seattle 3-2. Kraken kind of ran out of gas, I guess you could say, late in that game. Very impressed by Winnipeg, 4-1 against Detroit. Hellebuck was outstanding. It's now 2 wins in a row that they've played well and they've won since Rick Bonus's wife Judy entered the hospital after the seizure. And everyone in that Winnipeg team said, hey, if the only way we can help Bones right now is we got to just do our job, come to the rink and play every single day. And they've done that. So credit to the Winnipeg Jets. And I know even though the coach is away from the team due to more important matters, obviously, he's appreciating the effort his guys have put together without him these last 2 wins. Montreal, Cole Caulfield with the overtime winner, 4-3. I like it because I got him to score 40 this year at a nice plus number. So I'm hoping he gets there, and that certainly helps. The 4-3 win against Columbus. Very disappointing from the Islanders, where they battled back. They tied the game after a bad start, but they fell 3-2 to the end. It was a gem from Sorokin. Ottawa had 45 shots on goal in that game, and frustrating because he had one of those games, Sorokin, which is why he's widely considered as one of the better goalies and a Vezina candidate. He had one of those nights last night against Ottawa, and unfortunately, I thought the Sens deserved a better fate, but they lost 3-2. The Minnesota Wild did not deserve a better fate. That was awful for them. They were outshot 24-9, I believe, 22-5, I believe, at one point last night. They lose 6-2 to Philadelphia. Dreadful performance. It's getting worse, not better for the Wild. Their defense without Spurgeon is absolutely brutal right now, and the goaltenders can't do enough to save the problems, keeping the puck out of the net. They lose 6-2 to Philly, and Minnesota's in action again tonight on a back-to-back in Washington. We'll get to that game later. And late games last night, we mentioned the Alberta teams. And how about Toronto? The Joel Woll story continues to grow. The Missouri native continues to just be outstanding in net for the Leafs. A game where, again, I think the Leafs got outplayed a little bit by the Stars last night, especially in the last 2 periods. I thought Toronto had a good first period, and after that, Dallas was the better team. But doesn't matter. You got to score. And Joel Woll kept Dallas off the score sheet. Leafs capitalized on the chances they got, and they get a nice 4-1 road win over the Dallas Stars. Dallas's first regulation loss of the season last night. Jimmy, what did you think of some of the other games on the card from Thursday?
Well, I was pretty homed in as I was covering the Bruins game and writing on that after. But look, I'm with you guys. I look around the league. I did watch the second half of that Rangers Oilers game, and I know we were just talking about the Oilers side of that and how much they're struggling. But the Rangers are a team I've kind of been interested in this season, because I don't know about you guys. Like, I haven't really seen yet that so-called Laviolette bump that everyone talks about in his first season there. I see them still trying to figure themselves out, still trying to figure his system out. So I've been watching them carefully, kind of starting to, I don't have the stats in front of me. You guys might know, but I'm starting to feel like they could be a really good under team as we go forward here. Their structure's good, but they're definitely having trouble scoring.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they definitely are. Now, you're right. We mentioned this just because we've seen it play out. Islanders, Flyers, Predators, Capitals, every team he's coached the first year, they've been immediately better. They've been better than last season. So that's why we hinted at maybe Laviolette bump that first year. But I don't know if so much a Laviolette bump or playing a shit team bump last night. Like, Calgary is just a absolute mess, or Edmonton, I should say, is an absolute mess right now. The team they played last night, they've had a little bit of a soft schedule as well. Early in the season, that's helped. I still want to see how the Rangers fare against, Toronto and Tampa and other heavyweights, New Jersey, other heavyweights in the Eastern Conference, Carolina for that matter. So let's see how they play against those teams. They have had a pretty light schedule so far, and I think that's factored in. What's great for the Rangers, though, and this is a positive, man, for the first time in his career, he is looking like a number 1 overall pick finally. Alexis Lafreniere. He's starting to percolate. He's starting to get going. goals in consecutive games. He's making great plays with the puck, phenomenal moves, deep moves, getting the defense out of position. He's looking like that number one over. This is the first time he's put together a sustained run of solid play, and it's good to see. If you're a Rangers fan, you're happy about this.
That's why, guys, too. I don't consider them, run in the running for Patrick Kane. I mean, that didn't go well the first time. You don't know how healthy he's going to be. But the biggest thing of all is what you just brought up. You bring him in. Now you're going to have to drop Lafreniere back in the lineup, maybe down in the third line. You're taking away these minutes and the confidence that he's building right now, the momentum he's gaining. I think it would be the worst possible move for the Rangers to do that, just for that sole reason.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree with that. Yeah, no question. And the Rangers too. Credit to Laviolette, because he didn't have a great preseason, and Laviolette said, "We're still playing you on the second line. We're going to give you all the runway you need to find your way and get some traction going in not only your game but your career, really, because you need it." And he's finally getting it rolling here. This has been a great stretch of hockey for Alexis Lafreniere, probably the best he's had.
And I'd give a shout out to another game too. I didn't watch it, but just reading up on it. I mean, that's a huge win for the Pittsburgh Penguins over the Colorado Avalanche. Not just because you're bringing down the mighty Avalanche and you're beating a great team, but also just the confidence builder that could serve. We'll really see now. Can they do something with that and carry it forward? But they needed that, because I think that's a team that's kind of been treading water since the beginning of the season, kind of figuring out what the hell they are. And I think if they had kept losing, and it still could happen, but I think we would have started to hear all the criticism towards Carlson and, he's come in and they didn't need him. And look at, and like we've seen that follow him wherever he's gone. I mean, I know he was amazing in San Jose last year. He's always been an amazing defenseman, but he's also, because he's a superstar, when, shit hits the fan, it's mostly hitting the fan on him. So I think that, for his sake and just kind of acclimating himself into that system there, into that team, into that fan base, they need to get on a little roll here, and maybe that's what they needed.
Yeah, we'll see. And you're right. That's a good point, Jarek. Tomorrow, Pittsburgh's playing Ottawa. So we've got the Erik Karlsson against his old team. You know what that means? Let's look at some Karlsson props maybe in that game tomorrow.
Ottawa's in a bad place right now, boys.
Yeah, they are.
I am, and I'm off the ship after last night. I said I got to leave this team alone for a bit now.
It's crazy, right? We were all talking about the Senators and the Sabres being the teams that might make the jump in the Atlantic Division, and everybody, the Red Wings aren't ready yet. Well, guess what? The Red Wings are ready, and the Sabres and Senators don't look ready at all. So Ottawa's in a tough spot. Lots of rumors coming out of there too. I haven't seen anybody established in my business, or I've talked to a lot of people. Nobody's here. It just seems to be more fan generated that Pierre Dorion could be out. I heard Peter Chiarelli could return there.
I heard a Chiarelli Julian rumor rumbling. Both of them might come back.
Let's pump the brakes. But I think
this is 2010 Boston Bruins, 2011 Boston Bruins. They're trying to recreate that magic.
I know, right? Well, he was the assistant GM in Ottawa before he went to Boston.
Right.
So that's where he got to start. He's from there, so who knows? But they're a mess. So hey, there's another chance for Pittsburgh to keep building.
Yeah, I mean, and they're a mess on the blue line now. I mean, they're a mess on Artem Zub is an underrated defenseman. He's hurt now. Thomas Chabot's out 4 to 6 weeks.
Gone now, right?
This freaking guy can't stay healthy, Chabot. It's awful to see Chabot just constantly bombarded by these injuries, and it's happening again for him. Brandstrom's out. I mean, they are scrambling for 5-6 defensemen right now. They have Sanderson, Hamonic, Chychrun, and they've called up Jacob Bernard-Docker to the team again to be the fourth defenseman, but they're still looking. Who the hell's going to be 5-6 for us now?
Didn't they waive him in the preseason because of cap?
I think they did, and they've called him up now. And
I was surprised he slipped through. I mean, he was a high pick, right? Wasn't he really highly touted coming out?
Yeah.
They're hurting. That's an over waiting to happen tomorrow. Pittsburgh and Ottawa, as far as I'm concerned. Pittsburgh got their offense going a little bit against Colorado. I still don't trust their defense. Ottawa's defense is just ravaged at the moment, shorthanded like crazy, depleted, and much worse without Chabot. So, that could be a sloppy game defensively tomorrow with those two teams in action.
And you mentioned, Jimmy, about, like I said, in that Atlantic Division race with Detroit and Buffalo. Detroit, like I said, they're already set and ready, but Buffalo, and we've said it forever about goaltending, but they also need the offense to start waking up too. It's not just what's going on in the back end. The front end needs to get things rolling too. But man, Buffalo, if they get a goaltender, they could easily leapfrog over Ottawa and clear there, and then all they got to worry about is everybody that's in front of them with Detroit and Tampa.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's interesting though. Like those three teams, I think were such a crapshoot in terms of this division heading in,
Right.
and I wonder too, like maybe they got to talk to the young guys on this team, like you just said. I mean, Buffalo's bread and butter is their offense, and to me it looks like these young kids read their clippings a little too much, maybe got a little too big up here heading into the season, thinking they could just come in and be handed a spot. Like, no, you're still the Sabres, and you got to prove you're not.
Yep.
That's true. I mean, we all crowned them before, they had really done anything of significance. Like, this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs since the late 2000s. That's how long it's been.
Cue the Dennis Green.
Yeah.
Hopefully
not. I'm still holding out hope, but I actually think they might be live tonight. We'll get to them in a few minutes when they take on the New Jersey Devils, because I've got a theory about this road trip they're on right now. And I said it the other day that watch them go on a run now, get away from home. They had a great game against Ottawa the other night. Put it to them. Yeah. Get on
Jersey's
the road. Feel
speaking
good.
of bad defense, Jersey's defense is a goddamn mess right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was getting hidden because they were winning so much, right? And they're scoring so much. But, if you kind of zero in and look at the little nitty gritty stats there, you're going to be like, whoa. Like, they can't keep up. They're skilled. There's no doubt about it. They're a Stanley Cup contender, but they got to tighten up that defense for sure.
Yeah, it's been an issue. And I've got concerns about Vanacek-Schmid combination in net
me
for
too.
them. Both of them have been they've been okay at times, and they've been more bad than good, honestly, so far. So all kinds of issues. And I always smile. And Real Deal Prime, who's in our chat, is a Sabres fan, and he's been a very dedicated Sabres fan. And I just love that he uses the late great Rick Jenneret in his avatar. That's a great picture of Rick right there. We will miss that man for the rest of my life. That's for sure. Rick Jenneret, I'll tell you what, if any success they have this year, we're going to thank Rick for looking up on the Sabres from up above. No question. All right, let's go to Friday's games. We got 6 games. We're going to start with the annual Nevada Day holiday Friday afternoon game locally in Vegas, because this is a 3 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. local start time. Chicago Blackhawks, Vegas Golden Knights. 3 p.m. local start time in Las Vegas. The Golden Knights minus 320, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Now, it's a very interesting scheduling dynamic, kind of like we saw with Anaheim-Boston, where, and initially my thought was, is Vegas going to be raring to go? You just beat the Chicago team at the United Center just recently, and now you're going to have to play them again in a short turnaround. But they are 4-2 on this annual Nevada Day holiday game at home. And they have definitely seen, and there's been an odd occurrence too in these games where there's been a lot of goals scored in these Nevada Day holiday games as well. So we'll see if that continues here in this one with Chicago and Vegas today. I also got from someone close to the situation a little bit of information on this game that the Chicago Blackhawks are actually taking a trip to Arizona, which is where they play next, immediately after this game, like right after this game ends. They're not staying in Vegas to enjoy a Friday night in Vegas. They're going to Arizona for a rookie party. So it's a party for, the Bedard and Korchinski and all these guys,
When's their next game? Sunday?
It's Monday.
Monday. Oh, so they got
Monday in Arizona.
A nice little break.
Monday in Arizona. So they're going to Arizona tonight, right after the Las Vegas game. And apparently they're going to make an Arizona weekend out of it.
Yeah.
For this Chicago
and
team.
Ironically, I think it should be what happens in Arizona stays in Arizona, because nobody even knows about it because it's Arizona.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea, because they stay in Vegas. It might get out on social media.
Yeah.
So take that information and do with it what you will. But when I'm hearing they're thinking of a getaway right after the game to Arizona for a party, that's not a team I'm looking to bet in a spot like this.
No.
Not at all. And look, they're struggling right now. Really, if the Bedard line doesn't produce anything, you're really not getting much from anybody else right now on this Chicago team. And that was the concern all along coming into this season. Vegas on the flip side, look, they almost got burned by Philly. Look, they were on the ropes there, down 2-1 in the third period, but they tied it. They won it in the final minute. But I wouldn't penalize Vegas for that they barely beat Philadelphia at home. Philadelphia's off to this great start. They played hard every night. They've played everyone tough. So So I don't think that's a big deal that Vegas kind of struggled a little bit in that game and barely won it. Goaltending goes, Aiden Hill expected in net. Do you know what Aiden Hill's numbers are? 1.73 goals against, 934 save percentage. Is that good? That's pretty good. Wow. Those are eye-popping numbers. There's been no drop-off whatsoever for Aiden Hill following his great sojourn to the Stanley Cup in last year's postseason. I would expect him in net. Sounds like it's projected to be Peter Mrazek for Chicago, but it's not confirmed. I initially had nothing on this game, but then Alex put it in my ear, and I'll let him talk about it first before I do, that there's been goals in these Vegas Nevada Day holiday home games. I can't explain why that is, but it's been a natural occurrence in these games. And Alex, that points you right to you next as to what you like in this game specifically.
Yeah, I liked it yesterday with the first period over, and I'd had this game circled, especially after last Saturday, because I thought this might be a good spot for the Hawks at one point when I heard Jonathan Marchessault's comment after the game saying, we had to just wake up and realize we're better than these guys after the second period. And I was like, well, it may be some bulletin board material for the Hawks because they did play them tough for a good 40 minutes before falling apart. That's what everybody's done against Vegas so far. They hang tough, and then Vegas wears them down and gets the win. But now, upon hearing this news that the Hawks have their rookie party going on, and yeah, Jimmy, it's funny because we were both wondering before we got on the air, like, wait, why are they leaving Vegas to go party? But that makes more sense now. Like I said, hidden in plain sight out there in Arizona and such. So I'm on Vegas first period puck line as well as the first period over. I like Vegas team total. This will probably be another route, and that Vegas crowd will be rocking and rolling. Everybody's wearing white. Home team's wearing white. They want the fans to bring the white out kind of feel. So this might have a little playoff kind of atmosphere to it at the beginning of the game, and I think Vegas can ride that, and we see some goals here early.
Again, 4-2 is Vegas in these 6 Nevada Day holiday Friday afternoon games that they've played annually since they've been in the league, 6 years, 4-2, 5-1 to the over in those 6 games. So for me, that puts me a little bit on. I am going to sprinkle a little on Vegas in this game, first period puck line as well, and over 6. I'm going to rock with both of those. Again, I don't like betting Vegas usually over the total, but in this spot, with just the way it's transpired, for some reason, they've exploded offensively, and their opponent has chipped in a little bit. In fact, never mind the 6. I'm now seeing 5.5 at -130 at the score bet, -132 at ProLine Plus, -135 at Bet99, -140 at Betway, and -134 at FanDuel. As well for over 5.5. So there are some 5.5s with juice. I'll take that over 5.5 here.
Yeah,
in this
and better play it safe. Better play it safe and lay that price. I usually wouldn't advise that with $1.30 or higher on a total, but we may not get enough time to wait for a plus money here with a goal. So
yeah, exactly. So there you go. A little Vegas first period puck line, a little over 5.5 for me. Blackhawks and Golden Knights. Jimmy, what do you think here? Chicago, Vegas. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm right with you. I like the first period puck line. I like the first period over, and I like the over total. I'm also going to sprinkle a little on Jack Eichel over 1.5 points as well.
All right, good stuff indeed. The first full game puck line, like, I don't love the price. I don't love laying a price with a first period puck line. A full game puck line, -120 to -125 with that. So I think the first period puck line is just better value. I can get +115. At least with the first period puck line. So that's what I'm looking at here, over 5.5 in this game as well. As far as props go, I like your look, Jarek. Paul Cotter is really starting to heat up for the Vegas Golden Knights. I agree with that, even though he's only playing on the third line. See, this is a team where I don't get scared of betting third, fourth line guys to score goals for Vegas because they've just got that depth. And Bruce Cassidy just rolls the 4 lines because he trusts them all, and they're all very good. So I don't mind betting a Paul Cotter to score a goal. I don't mind betting a Nicholas Waugh to score a goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, even though he's on the 4th line. He's already scored multiple goals. I think he's still undervalued as well. Nick Waugh. Nick Waugh is one of the best 4th line forwards in the NHL. I've said that before. I really believe that. I think he is. Both ends of the ice. Offensively, he's as good. He's maybe the best offensive player on the 4th line in the league, in my opinion, as well. I mean, that guy can pop him in. We saw it in the playoffs last year as well. So Cotter's got value. I agree. Nick Waugh has value for Vegas as well here in this game. Barbashev's really starting to produce again. He's chipping in the points. I believe he's on he got a goal the last game. He's streaky, so I could see Barbashev chipping in. For Chicago, I don't know how much they're going to score, but I don't think they're going to get shut out. And we still think as long as they're with Bedard, Foligno and Tyler Johnson have some value as far as their props go. Nick Foligno and Tyler Johnson expected to be with Connor Bedard again. So maybe you look in that direction here as well. All right, next up, we've got San Jose and Carolina. Carolina rather, now minus 420 to minus 440. Home favorite, 6.5, shaded to the under. I'm going to state this right now. Before we get to Thanksgiving in the U.S., San Jose or some team in the league is going to be at least a minus 600 favorite against San Jose in a game. I think it will happen.
Yeah,
I think we're getting closer and closer to there.
Yeah.
That we are going to see minus 600 with somebody against San Jose before U.S. Thanksgiving. I mean, it's getting worse, not better for this team. Now their offense is completely dried up these last few games. They scored one against one against Florida, one against Nashville, shut out by Tampa Bay last night. So now you can't even count on them to score. And we know defensively and goaltending is as bad as it gets in the NHL with the Blackwood-Kokkonen duo in net and a very weak blue line, depth-laden blue line as well. But the problem is now it's just getting out of whack in terms of Carolina. I've been anxiously and eagerly betting the opponent team total over and at times the puck line against this San Jose team. I'm going to do this a little differently, though. Carolina had a bad start last night against Seattle. Okay, they fell behind 2-0. I don't think they were thrilled with that start. You look at them tonight in this game, and you see a Carolina team that's now going to have Aho back for a third straight game. He's going to be even more comfortable. And now they get, for the first time this season, Andrei Svechnikov back. He will make his season debut tonight, finally, for the Carolina Hurricanes. So significant boost to that lineup. They're now just about fully healthy up front on the forward group, pretty much. Yeah, there's no one of prominence. They are fully healthy. They're good to go now. Everyone's good, healthy up front now for Carolina with the return of Svechnikov. They do miss Brett Pesce on the blue line, but an absence like that ain't going to show up as much when you're playing the worst team in the NHL by far. So I think Carolina actually wants to have a good start, which they did not have last night against Seattle, even though they came back to win that game. So I'm going to go with another first period puck line here for Carolina. -0.5, plus 105 at Bet365 for the first period puck line. And give me an alternative team total for Carolina, because now the 3.5s, I can't take the 3.5s. They're -180. Okay, is what we're looking at for the Carolina team total. And I had the over 3.5 last night against Tampa Bay, or for Tampa Bay against San Jose, but that was -160. I'm like, okay, I don't love the price, but -160, I'm okay laying it. -180 now is just too high. That's just too high for my blood. So I'm going to go with over 4.5 for Carolina team total. Plus 145 is the price with that at Bet365. So I think definitely you're going to see this team want to start better. And you look at San Jose, they give up 5 to Nashville, 6 to Tampa Bay in 2 of their last 3 games. Surely Carolina's got a decent chance, especially with Svechnikov back, even though I think they might monitor his ice time, as Rich H alludes to, and play him more so on the power play, only a little, as not quite an ease him in. I get that. But just having him back, I'm sure everyone's spirits are going to be through the roof seeing that guy back, because we know they missed him, especially in the playoffs last year. So going to go with Carolina first period puck line plus 105 and Carolina alternative team total over 4.5 plus 145. Alex, Sharks, Hurricanes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at BetMGM, and I haven't seen this before until this year, but you can bet certain goaltenders that are props, saves and shutout, but you can also bet goals against. Kaapo Kakkonen over 3.5 goals against at -130. That's actually kind of a tempting price. If you like Carolina,
wow.
That's the best way to attack it, but because you can't get anything money line, you can't get anything, even regulation. So that's something to look for if you like Carolina sidewise. I'm just going to play this safe with the first period over 1.5, laying $1.40. Carolina 6-2 to the first period over so far. They've been one of the hotter teams in that department, and like I said, they should be able to kind of name their score. It's just a matter of when they want to score, how many they want to score, as far as I'm concerned. This is an awful San Jose team.
Yeah, just absolutely. You know what I'm also going to sprinkle on? I can't resist that price now that I see it at Bet365. Carolina, we talk about this occasionally, not a ton. The first period team total. Carolina over 1.5 plus 195. That's a really good price. Look, Tampa had 2 goals before you could blink in the first period last night against San Jose. So Carolina first period team total over 1.5 plus 195. I'm going to put a few bucks on that as well. So we're going to just, we're going to diversify our portfolio here. Little team total over first period for Carolina, little alternative team total, and a little bit on that first period puck line for Carolina as well. What do you think here, Jimmy? This team stinks on ice right now, San Jose, as they take on Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to jump on the first period puck line for Carolina. I like the first period over total. I like the one you just said, the first period team total over. And I also like Seth Jarvis to get a goal in this.
We've talked about Seth Jarvis here, Jimmy, on the show. Yeah, he's not a bad option as well for the Hurricanes. Nate just got the game winner last night. He's worth a look. Nason, I've talked about Nason a lot. I don't like that he's on the fourth line. They've dropped him in the lineup a little bit for Carolina, but he does, I think he is still going to find his way onto the power play for this team. Although I don't see that. No, he's not even on the power play anymore. I'm seeing the power play units. I see Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis, D'Angelo, Natchez on the top unit. And I see Kotkaniemi, Bunting, Teravainen, and Orlov and Burns on the second unit for the Carolina power play. So, yeah, that's definitely going to get me off the Nason props. Fourth line and no power play time. That's what worries you about taking his props tonight here in this game. All right, Minnesota, Washington. We've got Washington minus 125 home favorites, 6.5 being the total here in this game. I mean, that's just a worry for me for Minnesota playing like that. Last night against Philadelphia. I mean, they caught the Flyers off the road trip where they had a tough loss at the end of the third period against Vegas, where Vegas scored in the final 30 seconds. And you play like that in the game last night in Philadelphia, not good at all from the Minnesota Wild. That being said, I'm not laying a price with Washington. I know they finally won, played a good game. Offense came to life in the 6-4 win against New Jersey on Wednesday night, but I'm still not in a position where I'm comfortable laying minus 125 with this team. That being said, they finally saw the puck go in. They finally get a little offensive confidence from that game. Ovechkin's now scored in back-to-back games. Some of their players they're counting on stepped up. Connor McMichael, they do think they like this kid. He finally scored the other night. They got Milano and Strome chipping in offensively against New Jersey in that victory. So they finally got some depth scoring, and Ovi is starting to percolate now with goals in back-to-back games. So those are positives for Washington. And when you've been bad and you've been losing and you finally win, maybe that's positive momentum that can carry over to this game tonight for Washington. So while I lean Minnesota, I don't love their form at all enough to take them. It probably will be Marc-Andre Fleury in net tonight for the Minnesota Wild. And considering that, he's the twilight of his career, he's not what he once was. This defense has been hanging their goalies out to dry the last several games, Minnesota. I'm not trusting Fleury to put up a brick wall here against this Washington team tonight in this game. Darcy Kemper in net for Washington, but his blue line is banged up. Sandin may not play. They're already without Edmondson. They haven't been great in their own zone. Their penalty kill's been a disaster. The one thing Minnesota can still do, is chip in offensively. Eriksson Ek's been good. Hartman's been solid. Foligno's gotten a goal or two. Rossi has been solid. We've cashed a couple big goal props on him. And they've been scoring goals, Minnesota, even with Kirill Kaprizov really not firing on all cylinders yet this season for the Minnesota Wild. So more than anything here, I think goals both ways. I think Minnesota scores them. Washington scores them. Minnesota has gone over the total. Every Minnesota Wild game has gone over the total since their first game of the season against Florida. They have gone over in every game. They haven't been able to keep the puck out, but their offense has been good enough to also find the back of the net. So I like over 6 here, and there is still a 6 out there at DraftKings. So a lot of books have 6.5, so make sure you bet that at DraftKings tonight. I like Minnesota, Washington over 6, minus 120. Keep in mind, 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings with these teams has gotten to at least 6 total goals as well. So Minnesota, Washington over 6, minus 120 for me in this one. Alex, Wild and Capitals.
Yeah, I'm going with that too, and I was seeing 6.5 earlier, but yeah, I see that at DraftKings now, so I'm gonna play that small, and I'm gonna try and grab some 5.5 in game as well. But I just expect goals galore. If I had to play a side, it would be Minnesota because I just don't trust Washington. I mean, we saw just the back and forth way that they played against New Jersey, and it was good to see them get that hot start. They have to do that in games if they're gonna win throughout the year. They have to jump out in front they can't play from behind. New Jersey, they caught them in a spot where they were able to, get that momentum rolling. Like we talked about, whatever Carberry said after the second period, it worked. But this is still just a rough team. I trust Minnesota a little bit more, but like I said, they're in terrible form right now. So you're just going root for goals. So go with the over.
All right, liking the over as well. Here is Alex with the Wild and the Capitals. I'll get to some props that I do like, and I think this is not a bad game to look at some player props. Again, we think there'll be some offense. What do you think here, Jimmy? Minnesota, Washington.
Yeah, I'm over. I like the first period over, and I like the whole game over. And then I'm also going to do a little prop with Zuccarello, 3 or more shots.
All right, and Zuccarello, absolutely. Overshots on goal for Jimmy as well here in this one. I want to point out there are some changes going on here for Washington. Spencer Carberry saw some things he liked, and he saw some signs of life from players that he think deserve to bump up the lineup. And it looks like he is doing that. He's pushing. I just want to make sure I get this right, that every site is in line with this. Yeah, he's going to bring Sonny Milano up to the second line with Oshie and Kuznetsov, and Tom Wilson with Stroman Ovechkin. So there's Wilson and Milano, your 2 guys that might be undervalued here. So look at some props involving those 2 potentially. Milano scored the last game. He's gotten a promotion now, and you're going to get a really good price, plus 640 at Betano for him to score a goal tonight. Sonny Milano, and then Tom Wilson as well, plus 275, score a goal, plus 200 to get an assist. So that's probably what I'll end up doing, a little goal and assist with Wilson and the Milano goal prop as well. Because they're moving up the lineup. For Minnesota, Ryan Hartman, Zuccarello as well, Eriksson Ek, I should say, those 3 guys worth a look as far as props. But I'm going to go back to the well with Rossi again. I know he didn't come through the other night, but Rossi is undervalued. Rossi's getting chances. He did have an assist in that game against Philadelphia on one of the 2 Minnesota goals, even though he didn't find the back of the net. But he has been very noticeable so far. And I think there's value in his props still tonight as well for Minnesota. All right, Buffalo, New Jersey. We've got the Devils, minus 190 home favorites, 7 being the total. Every New Jersey Devils game has gone over the total. It's only a matter of time, I think, before we saw a 7. I wasn't sure if it would be tonight, but finally we have seen a 7. Jimmy talked about it. I've talked about it. Lethal offense, but they haven't found it at the defensive end, which was my concern with New Jersey as far as their Eastern Conference and Stanley Cup contendership status this year. Would that blue line be good enough? And right now, the Siegenthaler, Hamilton, Ball, Marino, Luke Hughes, Brendan Smith group has been not great in their own zone, and it's put a lot of pressure and stress on Vitek Vanacek and Akira Schmid, the 2 goalies who have not exactly handled it well. They have had issues keeping the puck out of the net right now. The Devils. They haven't had issues scoring, and who isn't on a great run right now for this? Actually, Dawson Mercer's the one guy that's had a really tough start to the year, but other than that, Jack Hughes has been a point-producing machine. Timo Meier is starting to get it going for them. Bratt's been good. Hischier has suddenly exploded the last couple games offensively for the Devils, as has Tyler Toffoli, who has just been magnificent here for New Jersey the last few games. We look at this matchup, though. New Jersey's not a defensive team that I trust here in this price range, laying a minus 190 price against Buffalo. Neither is the goaltending. I'm going to take a shot with those Buffalo Sabres here, getting this price. I said after the Ottawa win when I saw it, I couldn't believe they were so bad against Montreal at home, knowing they were going on a road trip. Last home game of a homestand, put the foot down and play well. They didn't. But then they turned around. They start the road trip against Ottawa. They looked like they were more relaxed. They looked like they were just played hockey. They weren't overthinking it. They weren't making too many passes. They were keeping it simple, getting pucks to the net, that kind of stuff. And their defensive game, I thought, was better as well. And I thought even offensively, there was more fluidity. And sometimes when there's so much expectations and you don't have the start of the season, especially on that long homestand that you wanted, sometimes you just need to get on the road. Camaraderie comes together as a team. You start bonding and you just relax. And everyone starts to enjoy each other's company a little bit more. And you play better hockey on the ice as a result. And maybe that's happening with Buffalo on this road trip. Well, it's only one game. And look, Ottawa isn't in great form at the moment, but that's still a step in the right direction for Buffalo. And to me, that's enough to take them at this price against a New Jersey team that's struggling to keep the puck out of their own net. I think Buffalo's live to at least have a shot in this game, plus 160. And as for the total, I like the over. but we're going to do the Alex B. Smith strategy. We're waiting for a live over. We're going to wait for 6.5 or better and bet this thing at some point live in game during the first period. Alex, Buffalo, New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on Buffalo, but I also kind of feel this could be a tight enough game, so I'm sprinkling a little bit on the draw at plus 375. But I am back in Buffalo here at a plus price. He said New Jersey's that up and down kind of a game. You can't afford to play like that against teams like Washington. New Jersey is a team that I have in high regard, and as far as teams in the East, and you should be pasting Washington with 6-7 goals. There's no reason to let them jump ahead of you. Now, you showed the brilliance in the second period. You got 4, but then you couldn't hold on to it. So, and it's early. There's a lot of teams just kind of in limbo, and this feels like it could be one of those just kind of weird kind of spot games. And like I said, Buffalo on the road, needing to get things in the right direction. I trust them to get the win here, but I think it could be kind of close. So a little sprinkle on that at draw at plus 375 as well.
All right. What do you think here, Jimmy? Sabres, Devils?
I'm with you there. I like the draw too. That was going to be actually maybe, we won't say it yet, but it might be my pick of the day. I love the draw on this. I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I like the Sabres in the first period as well. And on the Jersey side for a little props, I'm going to ride Tyler Toffoli right now. I mean, he is in fuego. What's 5 goals, right, in the last 2 games? So give me Tyler Toffoli to score tonight.
Yeah, he has been very good. There's no question. I love Dylan Cousins, point prop or goal/assist prop, whichever you want. He's been great. I mean, he's been piling up the points for Buffalo. He's on the top line tonight. He's moving to the top line with Tage Thompson and Jordan Greenway. And I'm still sticking to Jordan Greenway one more time. I know he hasn't found the back of the net yet, but as long as Don Granato keeps playing him on the top line, and you're going to get plus 500 still with him to score a goal, it's worth a look. And I like Cousins to get a goal and an assist, both at plus money here in this game tonight. He's been cooking lately and now gets a chance to play on the top line. So those are some props. Anything New Jersey, I would say Hischier, Toffoli, Jack Hughes. Don't sleep on Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes, goal and assist prop. He's usually going to get one of the two. And we saw an assist. He did score a goal from the point against the Islanders last week on Friday night. So Luke Hughes has been a noticeable factor as well for this New Jersey Devils team. And I'll remind you guys about Buffalo too. The road underdog role is where they were just so good last year. You know how many times they were road underdogs, and they were that's where they were great. They were not always great at home. They were certainly not always great as a favorite or even at close to a pick'em, but you got them in the road underdog role last year. And I'm going to just rhyme off some of the wins they had in that role last year, because it was impressive. They had road wins last year against some very impressive teams, especially the second half of the year. They went on the road. They beat Dallas. They went on the road. They beat St. Louis. They beat Winnipeg. They beat Vegas once. They had a lot of impressive victories in that road underdog role down the stretch. The Buffalo Sabres. Dallas was another team they beat on the road as road underdogs. So it feels like this is where you want to back Buffalo, punching up a little bit in weight class, and yet that's been what they've done best here the last couple of seasons. So that's why I do believe Buffalo is live here at this price in this game. All right, this is one of the 2 late night games tonight. West Coast action, Los Angeles Kings, Arizona Coyotes. We've got LA minus 135, road favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. It's a back-to-back home and home deal with the Kings and the Coyotes. Of course, they played in LA on Tuesday night, and it was a 6-3 victory for the Kings in that game, coming off a home loss to Boston. So a nice bounce back for the Kings in that game. And Arizona, of course, that loss snapped a 2-game winning streak for them. But now they're back at Mullet Arena, a place that has just been a magical place for the Arizona Coyotes. Their home record in Mullet Arena since the beginning of last year is something else. I mean, it's well above 500. They played really well in this building. They are already 1-0 this year at home against Anaheim. Now, LA is obviously a tougher opponent than Anaheim, but there's been something about this home ice that I've liked. And you look at LA, 2-0 on the road, so I'm a little concerned about that. They played some of their better hockey on the road, but this reminds me of last year. LA beat Arizona at home in December 5-3, and then they played just a couple weeks later in Arizona, and Arizona beat them. here in this building 2-1. So I like this spot for the Coyotes. And I also like the fact that the Kings tomorrow night, they've got a game at home against Vegas, second of back-to-back, at home against the defending Stanley Cup champions tomorrow night. So here we go. Fire it up.
Yep.
Arizona Coyotes here for me. Plus 118 in this game. Riding that home magic that they've got. And plus a bounce back. LA just pummeled this team. Arizona's got something to prove tonight. Arizona for me in this game. Alex, what do you think? Kings, Coyotes.
I got so caught up the other day looking at the regulation draw in this, I completely missed the fact that this has been a great first period over series. Now 8-4 the last 12 meetings after Tuesday with the 3-1 Kings lead after 20 minutes. So I could see where, like I said, Arizona have that momentum on their side. And they can come out and trade some blows early. So I like the first period over here. This is one I would wait and grab in game, though. I wouldn't lay $1.40, $1.45. You'll get enough time to where you can probably grab this, maybe even laying just $1.05 or even getting plus money.
Yeah, it's weird because you're right. Series history points to overs. LA has gone over the last few games. But Arizona, I watched that game against Anaheim, and I thought there'd be pace, and I thought there'd be goals in that game. They played a very tight, conservative, very, calculated defensive game, in that first home game against Anaheim, and it ended up 2-1. So maybe they're going to try to tighten it up at home. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see tonight. But this is a good game to gauge as far as the total. See what the pace is early, because Arizona did play a defensive stalwart game against Anaheim, their previous home game. We'll see if that continues tonight. Karel Vejmelka's in net for Arizona, and I do prefer that because Connor Ingram, finally had that Connor Ingram type of game the other night against the Los Angeles Kings. He struggled, so I like seeing Vejmelka back in there tonight for Arizona. Phoenix Copley in net for LA, and I'll tell you what, Talbot actually has been okay this year. Yeah, he's had a couple bad starts, but he's also had some good ones. I haven't seen much good out of Copley this year. And that game he had against Carolina, I still remember it. He was awful in the first period. He got pulled, and I worry about him a little bit. And I think that's a plus that he's in net tonight for LA. That's a plus for Arizona. What do you think here, Jimmy? LA, Arizona.
That's what I think.
A little Warren Zenon there, yeah.
Going with the first puck line of the day, boys. A reverse puck line. Give me the Arizona Coyotes -1.5.
There we go. And they've played that before at many an Arizona home game. Obviously, Werewolves of London, of course, that great classic from the 70s. But there you go. That's a Jimmy puck line. So going a step further with it. Arizona -1.5 here in this game. And that's an alternative puck line. So guessing is without looking, but I'll look at it right now just to confirm. You'll get somewhere around plus 200 on Arizona alternative puck line here in this game. No, plus 240 for Arizona with the alternative puck line. So, yeah, absolutely outstanding value there here for Arizona in this game. So it just makes sense, right? LA just beat him at home. Now Arizona's got him back. Arizona wants to play better. They've been good at home. LA's got Vegas tomorrow night. So it really does line up nicely. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but it's a nice situation here that's lining up for Arizona tonight. All right, Blues and Canucks. We've got Vancouver -190, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Oh, quickly on props, Cooley, goal and assist, Keller, goal, Trevor Moore, goal, because he's red hot right now for the LA Kings. They can't stop that guy. Those are some of my favorite props there in that game. All right, Blues, Canucks -190, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. Vancouver off the long road trip. What do we get from them tonight? They were out east for a while. They played Philly, they played Florida, they played Tampa Bay, and then they played Nashville, and now they're back home. They won the last 2 games of that road trip. Now back home to conclude it here against the St. Louis Blues. I like this Vancouver team, though. I don't really want to go against them. It's not a great spot for them. I worry about coming home, but I do like the way they're playing under Rick Tocchet. The defense is getting at least a little bit better. They only gave up 18 shots on goal against Nashville. So that is significant progress we're seeing from the Vancouver defense. The goaltending from both Thatcher Demko and Casey DeSmith this year has been pretty solid as well for the Vancouver Canucks. I just don't love this spot enough, though, and I don't love this price enough to take Vancouver. And look, St. Louis is playing okay right now. They've won 2 of their last 3. They beat Pittsburgh. They did lose to Winnipeg, a Jets team not only playing well, but they were inspired for their coach who was away, Rick Bowness, from the team. And then last night, a solid win against Calgary, but I can't overreact and give them too much credit for that win against Calgary because the Flames are a mess right now. Binnington's off to a great start. You can't deny it. This has been an outstanding start to the year for him. He'll probably be in net tonight after Joel Hofer got the start last night. And he's got good numbers this year. 2-1, 1.69 goals against average, 945 save percentage for Jordan Binnington going into this game. So this is probably one of the best starts he's had in a couple of years at least for the St. Louis Blues. So it's a game I don't have a whole lot on. I don't love anything sidewise. I think Vancouver's the better team. I just don't like the spot or the price enough. I don't trust the Blues enough against a better team on a back-to-back on the road. So I'm passing the side, passing the total too. I think the total's tough because you do have Binnington in great form. And look, Vancouver's probably going to start Demko. He's played well. So is this an under? I don't know, but series history says over. There's been more overs than unders recently with these two teams. And St. Louis has actually played Vancouver very well, winning 5 of the last 6. So I'm just all over the place with this game. If I bet anything, it'll be player props. What do you think here, Alex? Blues, Canucks.
Well, you guys should know if Ian's passing again, then I certainly don't have any kind of thing on it. But no, jokes aside, I would lean toward the over. This might be one that I watch, and if I see, kind of dictate where and see where the pace goes with this, maybe look for, something. I'm talking about like not even in the first period. This might be something like second period, like see what adjustments are kind of being made, kind of a game. It's definitely a watch and feel kind of a contest. So with better spots on board, it's a pass for me.
Yeah, my props I'll mention in a minute. First, Jimmy, what do you think here? St. Louis, Vancouver.
Pass.
There you go. That's all he's got. Just pass, and that's okay. This is a good props game. Rich H is onto something with Mikheyev. I agree. Mikheyev with the over 2.5, 4 shots. Quinn Hughes, how many times have we – let's do our Quinn Hughes shots on goal tracker here. If it's 2.5 and it's plus money again, you got to bet it. He's just flying over the shots on goal numbers. Have they adjusted it? Oh, they've adjusted it a little. We've gotten it from plus 150 to plus 130, and now the over 2.5 is plus 105. Still not enough. You got to bet over 2.5 Quinn Hughes. I mean, he's had 3+ shots in every game and 4 or 5 in a majority of the games. So you got to look at that until they adjust it. 2.5 plus 105 is not enough of an adjustment with that. Quinn Hughes to get a goal, to get an assist, the sprinkle is worth it. He's shooting the puck a lot more. If you hit, it's like hitting the lottery on his goal prop in the 600, 700 range. Ilya Mikheyev to get a goal and an assist. Again, playing on that top line for Vancouver. I agree with that. Brock Besser, because he's just on fire to start the year, which is great to see. But Mikheyev plus 300 to score a goal, plus 225 to get an assist. Brock Besser plus 175 to get a goal, plus 135 to get an assist. And then on the Blues side of things, Robert Thomas, he'd be the one I'd look at for the Blues. Robert Thomas, little on Buchnevich as well. Those are the main ones that I would consider. Kapanen moved up to the second line, by the way, last night, and he did score. So maybe Kasperi Kapanen, who is a very flighty player, erratic, streaky, but now he's on the second line for St. Louis. Maybe you look at his props as well here in this game tonight for the St. Louis Blues. So those are the majority of the prop looks for me in this one. Besser, Mikheyev, and Quinn Hughes for the Vancouver Canucks. And Quinn Hughes, again, that over 2.5. You just bet that until proven otherwise right now. It's been slow to adjust. You know why that was over 2.5? It's such a plus price on him to begin the year because his shot volume the last couple of years hasn't been anything close to what we've seen this year. But so far this year, he's had one game where he had just 1 shot on goal. But other than that, he had 3, 4, 4, 5, and 3 in all the other games. And it's over 2.5 at a slight plus price. So excellent value there for sure with his shot prop. All right, that is the Friday card, our first Beantown Friday Ice Guys show for the season, courtesy of our new sponsors, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out, bostonhempinc.com. And before we continue, we've, of course, got lots more to go. Hit the like button, by the way, 223 live viewers on the show. The Ice Guys family plan, $9.99 US per month. Make sure you join that. Our daily betting card, our player props, our bonus features, bonus content, bonus videos and shows, Q&A stuff that Alex and I will be doing exclusively for Ice Guys family plan members. We have a bonus extra second betcast coming up in the month of November, in addition to the regular one that we'll be doing just for Ice Guys family plan members, where only family plan members can watch the betcast and only family plan members can take part in the betcast. So that's coming up in November. We're definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, got a bunch of stuff going with the family plan. We also got stuff with the Patreon page too. Patreon.com/iceguys. I got my goalie charts updated. We got Chris Otto's first period charts all detailed. Those have been updated. We've been posting those right away in the overnight, so you can have those and save them. So all of our text and image stuff you can find over the Patreon page, and all of our video content, of course, and the different bonus features available through the family plan YouTube.
All right, good stuff indeed. All right, we got bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our new Friday sponsor, There it is. It's bostonhempinc.com. Make sure you check it out. Our brand new Friday sponsor and all the goods there. Great stuff, great products there for anyone that's interested. Check them out, bostonhempinc.com.
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful stuff. And shout out to the guys over there in Boston Hemp Inc. For sponsoring the Friday segments and the Friday shows throughout the first half of the season and stuff. They've been very awesome. And I want to welcome them to the family.
Yeah, exactly. Don't beat in that ad. I agree, Raymond Reddington. I love that. That's a beat that you can just get your groove on too. I agree, 100%. All right, hopefully we can get our groove on with some more bargain bin winners here. Bargain bin special of the night time. I know you guys love this segment so much. And of course, Jimmy, as you know, this is our segment where we give out a goal prop of plus 300 or better on the card. Alex, we'll start with you on this one. What do you like for bargain bin special on this Friday night?
Yeah, you totally teed it up with Jordan Greenway, Buffalo Sabres, playing on that top line. Like you said, they need to get things rocking and rolling. And this is that kind of a game, right, where it's not necessarily going to always be a pretty Tage Thompson goal. It's going to be something kind of gritty. It's going to be, the dirty work that gets things done. And Greenway's that kind of player. Get in front of the net, get something and clean up the crease and find a way to get a goal here. So looking at his spot, like I said, plus – I was able to grab it earlier, bringing it up at plus 500 at FanDuel. That's the best price available. So we're going to go Jordan Greenway to get a goal for the Sabres tonight.
All right, Jordan Greenway, Buffalo Sabres. And again, he's not a gifted goal scorer, but as long as he's on the top line and he's getting that kind of price, he's worth a look, in my opinion. So there you go. Jordan Greenway, Buffalo Sabres for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. Jimmy, what have you got something in mind for bargain bin special of the night tonight?
I do, guys. I'm going to go with Mr. Carter, Mr. Paul Carter, with the Vegas Golden Knights. You can get him at plus 425. I'm looking at.
All right, I like that one too. Paul Carter, Vegas Golden Knights, and a really good price on that, north of plus 400 for him to find the back of the net for the Vegas Golden Knights. And look, in an annual Nevada Day holiday game, where we have seen that team score a bunch of goals. Keep that in mind. So definitely something to keep in mind. My prop here, as far as bargain bin special of the night, this is not as big a price as I normally have, but for as red hot as this player is, and this is actually a player for a team that I'm actually betting against tonight, but that's the beauty. Yeah, I could be betting on the other team, but that doesn't mean I can't bet player props, involving a team I bet against. And that's what I'm doing here tonight with LA and Arizona. Trevor Moore is just dramatically underpriced right now for the Los Angeles Kings. He's been tearing it up for them. He has been getting chances. He's been going to the front of the net with regularity, and he's doing all this. He does get on the power play, but 5-on-5, he's doing this from the third line. It's been impressive. 4 goals in the last 4 games. for Trevor Moore of the Los Angeles Kings. And you can get him at plus 330 at FanDuel to find the back of the net tonight for the Los Angeles Kings. So Trevor Moore, LA, plus 330 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets now to wrap up the Friday show. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, we're going to go out to Vegas and look at Chicago, the Golden Knights, Nevada Day. Hawks are thinking about partying in Arizona. Vegas trying to keep this undefeated streak rolling. Aiden Hill, 22-7 since February 9th of last year. I think he gets another win, but I think we see goals here early. So give me the first period over 1.5, minus $1.30 between Hawks and Knights this evening. That's my best bet for Friday.
All right, Chicago, Vegas, over 1.5 first period for Alex B. Smith at minus 130, which is a more reasonable price than we often see with first period overs. So liking that for his best bet. Jimmy, what do you like for best bet?
I'm going to go with the Coyotes there in the reverse puck line. Give me the Coyotes minus 1.5.
All right, at plus 240, a great price with that as well. Arizona minus 1.5, plus 240 on the puck line. My best bet, we like goals in the nation's capital tonight. Minnesota, Washington, over 6, minus 120. That is going to be my best bet. Minnesota's an over machine ever since the first game of the season. They missed Spurgeon badly, no question. And they've just been out of sorts in their own end without him. Washington finally with some offensive confidence after putting up half a dozen against New Jersey. I think that carries over. I also think Minnesota finds the back of the net against a suspect Washington D and Darcy Kemper, who's had a less than inspiring start to the season. So Wild and Capitals over 6, minus 120 for my best bet for this Friday card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And since we only hear from Jimmy once a week, I actually like to get a final word from Jimmy Murphy before we always wrap it up on Friday. Jimmy, anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Not much, guys. Just have a great weekend. Enjoy the hockey. And I look forward. I know, they're not playing that great right now, but I got a feeling we might see a pretty good game in Edmonton on Sunday.
Gosh, I hope so. I mean, with two teams that
suck
like
right 3-2 Oilers in overtime.
Yeah. I hope we see it. Yeah, a competitive game, compelling game, just enough goals. And I want to see some bad blood. I want to see some anger from these two teams because they should be angry. They should be pissed off. And now they're playing each other. They're rivals. They have a pretty bitter recent history. Although one of those guys that was part of that bitter recent history has just retired, and we will shout him out, Zach Kassian, retiring. Making it official yesterday. Look, solid career, dropped the gloves a lot, even chipped in offensively, like a little underrated at that end. He was a guy that was capable of chipping in every now and then, but certainly would always do well by his teammates, stick up for them. So shout out to Zach Kassian, and we wish him well in retirement now from hockey. Great stuff. Hit the like button on the way out. Everyone tuning in, we appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in video form, in audio form, I should say, on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith and Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will see you tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for the Saturday edition of the Ice Guys and a big card on deck. See you then.